Hi again. It's me, Lucy. Picking up where I left off yesterday from Valley of the Dolls. We should get a little further since I'm not going to read. I don't have all that flap stuff to read off the dust cover. She would never go back to Lawrenceville. She hadn't just left Lawrenceville. She had escaped. Escaped from marriage to some solid Lawrenceville boy from the solid, orderly life of Lawrenceville. The same orderly life her mother had lived, and her mother's mother, in the same orderly kind of a house that a good New England family had lived in generation after generation, its inhabitants smothered with orderly, unused emotions stifled beneath the creaky iron armor called manners. Anne, a lady never laughs out loud. Anne, a lady never sheds tears in public. But this isn't public. I'm crying to you, Mama, here in the kitchen. But a lady sheds tears in privacy. You're not a child, Anne. You're 12, and Aunt Amy is here in the kitchen. Now go to your room. And somehow Lawrenceville had pursued her to Radcliffe. Oh, there were girls who laughed and shed tears and gossiped and enjoyed the highs and lows of life. They never invited her into their world. It was as if she wore a large sign that said, "Stay away, cold, reserved New England type." More and more, she retreated into books, and even there she found a pattern repeated. It seemed that virtually every writer she encountered had fled the city of his birth. Hemingway alternated between Europe, Cuba, and Bimini. Poor, bewildered, talented Fitzgerald had also lived abroad. And even the red, lumpy-looking Sinclair Lewis had found romance and excitement in Europe. She would escape from Lawrenceville. It was as simple as that. She made the decision in her senior year at college and announced it to her mother and Aunt Amy during her Easter vacation. "Mama, Aunt Amy, when I finish college, I'm going to New York. That's a dreadful place for a vacation. I intend to live there. Have you discussed this with Willie Henderson?" "No. Why should I?" "Well, you've kept company since you were both 16. Everyone naturally assumes." "That's just it. In Lawrenceville, everything is assumed." "And you are raising your voice," her mother said calmly. "Willie Henderson is a fine boy. I went to school with his daddy and his mother." "But I don't love him, Mother." "No man can be loved." This from Aunt Amy. "Didn't you love Daddy, Mama?" It wasn't a question. It was almost an accusation. "Of course I loved him." Her mother's voice bristled. "But what Aunt Amy means is, well, men are different. They don't think or react like women. Now, take your father. He was an extremely difficult man to understand. He was impulsive and he enjoyed his drink. If he had been married to anyone else but me, he might have had a bad end." "I never saw Daddy drink," Anne said defensively. "Of course not. There was prohibition, and I never kept a drop in the house. I broke him of the habit before he could take hold. Oh, he had a lot of wild ways in the beginning. His grandmother was French, you know." "Latins are always a little crazy," Aunt Amy agreed. "There was nothing crazy about Daddy." Suddenly Anne wished she had known him better. It seemed so long ago, the day he had reeled forward right here in the kitchen. She had been 12. He never said a word, just slumped quietly to the floor and quietly died before the doctor reached the house. "You're right, Anne. There was nothing crazy about your father. He was a man, but he was a good man. Don't forget, Amy, his mother was a Bannister. Ellie Bannister went all through school with our Mama." "But, Mama, didn't you ever really love Daddy? I mean, when a man you love takes you in his arms and kisses you, it should be wonderful, shouldn't it? Wasn't it ever wonderful with Daddy?" Anne, how dare you ask your mother such a thing? Said Aunt Amy. Unfortunately, kissing isn't all a man expects after marriage, her mother said stiffly. Then cautiously, have you ever kissed Willie Henderson? Anne grimaced. Yes, a few times. And did you enjoy it? Her mother asked. I hated it. His lips had been soft, almost slimy, and his breath had smelled sour. Did you ever kiss any other boy? Anne shrugged. Oh, a few years back, when Willie and I first started dating, at parties we'd play spin the bottle. I guess I got around to kissing most of the boys in town, and as I recall, each kiss was as repulsive as another. She smiled. Mother, I don't think we have one decent kisser in all of Lawrenceville. Her mother's good humor returned. You're a lady, Anne. That's why you don't like kissing. No lady does. Oh, Mama, I don't know what I like or what I am. That's why I want to go to New York. Her mother shrugged. And you have $5,000. Your father left that specifically for you to use as you wished. When I go, there will be a good deal more. We're not rich, not like the Hendersons, but we're comfortable, and our family stands for something in Lawrenceville. I want to feel that you'll come back and settle in this house. My mother was born here. Of course, Willie Henderson may want to add a wing. There's plenty of ground, but at least it will be our house. I don't love Willie Henderson, Mama. There is no such thing as love the way you talk about it. You'll only find that kind of love in cheap movies and novels. Love is companionship, having friends in common, the same interests. Sex is the connotation you're placing on love, and let me tell you, young lady, that if and when it does exist, it dies very quickly after marriage, or as soon as the girl learns what it's all about. But go to your New York. I won't stand in your way. I'm sure Willie will wait. But mark my words, Anne, after a few weeks you'll come running home. You'll be glad to leave that dirty city. It had been dirty and hot and crowded the day she arrived. Sailors and soldiers jogged along Broadway with a reckless holiday spirit in their eager stares and a convulsive end-of-the-war excitement. But mingled with the dirt, humidity, and strangeness, Anne had felt excitement and an awareness of living. The littered and cracked pavements of New York made the trees and clear air of New England seem cold and lifeless. The unshaven man who had removed the room for let sign from the window after accepting a week's rent in advance looked like Mr. Kingston, the mailman back home, but his smile had been warmer. It's not much of a room, he admitted, but the ceiling is high and it kind of stirs the air, and I'm always around to fix anything you want. She felt he liked her, and she liked him. There was an acceptance at face value in New York, as if everyone had just been born with no past heritage to acknowledge or hide. And now, as she stood before the imposing glass doors engraved Bellamy and Bellows, she hoped she'd find the same kind of acceptance from Henry Bellamy. And with that, we'll continue tomorrow. Bye. I love you. Stay safe.